Welcome into the 49ers Report. I'm your host, Chase Senior. We are broadcasting live once again on Callin, and this is airing after the fact on YouTube. For those of you watching right now, make sure you subscribe to us on Callin. Just surpassed 100 subscribers on the Callin app. It's like Twitter Spaces, but even better. And for those of you listening on Callin, hop into the caller queue, and I'll be able to answer all of your calls. On the show today, 10 bold predictions for the 49ers in training camp, with training camp coming your way in July. Little bit of a lull right now during the summer and this offseason. That's why I've cooked up 10 predictions. But first, I want to hear from you in the comment section on Callin as well as YouTube. What is one bold prediction you have for San Francisco going into training camp? Let me know in the comment section right now. Bold prediction number one. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be on this team when training camp kicks off. I think either a trade happens or the 49ers end up cutting him. Obviously, when it comes down to the financials, with Jimmy Garoppolo moving forward, has that cap hit of $26.9 million. And that has prohibited San Francisco to a certain degree with trying to give contract extensions to Deebo Samuel as well as Nick Bosa. And they weren't able to go after some really big-name free agents during NFL free agency. Most importantly, though, I don't think Garoppolo is going to be on this team because I think San Francisco realizes that having him on this team prohibits and stunts the growth of Trey Lance. And it also has Jimmy Garoppolo breathing down the neck of Trey. And I don't want any pressure on Trey Lance, who already has a lot of pressure on him going into a monumental year two, his first year as a starter with a team that's ready to compete for a Super Bowl right now. At number two, speaking of Trey Lance, I think he takes the reins as a starting quarterback for San Francisco, and he continues to impress. By all accounts, throughout OTAs as well as Minicamp, Trey Lance was really, really good. We've gone over the quotes from his coaches. We've gone over what his teammates have had to say, comparing him to the likes of Patrick Mahomes as well as Josh Allen, and what the media has said about Trey Lance throughout some of these practice sessions that they've been able to see. He's done really well in red zone activities. It looks as though his motion is a little bit tighter. He's fine-tuned some of his mechanics, and because of that, his accuracy has improved. I think him staying an extra week at the practice facility in Santa Clara to put in work with the 2022 draft class, as well as some other year two players, says everything that you want about a starting quarterback in this league who's trying to tap into his greatness. You look at Tom Brady. You look at Patrick Mahomes. Peyton Manning back in the day, they dive into the tape. They dive into the playbook, and you can always find them putting in so much work in the lab so that they can tap into their fullest potential. And that's what Trey Lance is doing right now. I think back to the COVID year in 2020 when NFL teams were not able to practice. What did Tom Brady do prior to his first season with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? He got some of his teammates, and he gathered them at a local field, and it drew so much attention that there were news helicopters hovering over the practice field to see what Tom Brady and his teammates were doing. That is the type of commitment it takes to be a great quarterback in this league, and Trey Lance is already displaying that for San Francisco. I want to ask you this next, and I want to test you in the comment section right now. If you could start one quarterback this year, who would it be? Because there are Jimmy Garoppolo lovers and truthers. There are also people like me who are high on Trey Lance. So type JG for Jimmy Garoppolo or TL for Trey Lance. Bold prediction number 3 going into training camp. This has to pertain to the running backs here. Ty Davis-Price turns a lot of heads and gets a lot of carries as Kyle Shanahan looks for his workhorse back. Now, when the media's been on hand, Ty Davis-Price really hasn't done much, and frankly, he didn't really practice at all throughout OTAs as well as minicamp. But Ty Davis-Price is everything that Kyle Shanahan is looking for in a starting lead back. Physical, brute, durable, has the ability to handle a workload of 16 to 20 carries. And yes, I understand that Elijah Mitchell last year was top 10 in rushing yards per game among all running backs in the league as a rookie. He gives you that flash. He gives you that speed element, a one-cut runner who hits the hole and he's gone. He has a lot of potential, and I think he's going to get a lot of carries. But I think Kyle Shanahan wants a consistent back who he can give the football to, who lowers the boom, who gives a thud to this offense, and that is the makeup of Ty Davis-Price, the rookie third-round pick out of LSU. At number 4, a Deebo Samuel contract gets done, and get this, he gets about $70 million guaranteed. And that's really saying something for Deebo Samuel, and he's waiting to get the bag and I think he's going to get it at some point in the lead up to training camp. Historically, you take a look at what the 49ers have done in terms of their business procedures. Last year, Fred Warner got his contract in August. The year before that, I believe it was George Kittle getting his contract extension in July. San Francisco always waits to give some of these contract extensions out. Also, there's this looming, going back to point number one. You clear some of that money off the books for Jimmy Garoppolo. You use that money. You allocate it to Deebo Samuel, maybe even Nick Bosa. You make him happy. He returns to San Francisco, he gets on the field, and in doing so, gives Trey Lance a legitimate number one weapon at that wide receiver spot. And also, I don't think he's used as much as a running back. I think he's used more primarily as a wide receiver. So with $70 million in guaranteed money as my prediction, I want to ask you this once more. How much would you pay Deebo Samuel? Let me know live here on Callin after the fact on YouTube. And also, for those of you in the caller queue, I want you to come up with your best 49ers predictions. Therefore, when I start taking calls, you're ready, locked, and loaded. At number 5, Ray McCloud proves to be not just a special teams guy and a gadget player, but also a speed threat offensively who gives this 49ers offense a nice little element at the wide receiver spot. I want to see, and I'm excited to see, how Kyle Shanahan utilizes him on some of these end arounds, on some of these bubble screens, on some of these reverses as a gadget guy. But in minicamp, he was turning heads because he was getting up and down the field vertically, taking the top off of the defense. And this is a San Francisco offense that hasn't had that speed element at that wide receiver spot for a couple of years. And because Jimmy Garoppolo primarily throws the ball in between the hashes, they haven't really pushed the ball downfield. They're going to do that with Trey Lance, and I think Ray McCloud is going to be the benefit of it. Number 6, Javon Kinlaw finally stays healthy coming off that ACL surgery and the knee injury that nagged him 2 years ago throughout his rookie year, has a great training camp, and he earns the starting defensive tackle role. We know what happened during the beef between Javon Kinlaw and Grant Cohen. I think Kinlaw lashed out because he's feeling the pressure of not living up to the expectations of being that former first-round pick. This year, he shows everybody with his really impressive physical ability why he was selected in the first round ahead of Brandon Ayuk back a couple years ago. Number 7, Talanoa Hufanga wins the starting safety job, and it's not even close. Who else is competing with him? Tarvarius Moore, George Odom, Jaquiski Tart, not on this roster. Leon O'Neal has had some good moments throughout this offseason, but Talanoa Hufanga, who impressed as a rookie, locks down the starting job opposite of Jimmy Ward at those safety spots. Number 8, the biggest splash free agency signing for San Francisco, Charvarius Ward, not only lives up to the billing, but gives San Francisco the number one cornerback that they have been lacking the last couple of years. We talk about them lacking that speed element at wide receiver. They have lacked a bona fide number one cornerback for a little while now. Charvarius Ward is that guy. Has to go down as one of the biggest offseason winners for San Francisco. He really impressed the coaching staff, so much so he didn't even need to practice throughout minicamp because Kyle Shanahan was so impressed with what he was able to do. Number 9, starting offensive line left to right is going to be Trent Williams at left tackle, Aaron Banks at left guard, Jake Brendel at center, Daniel Brunskill at right guard, and Mike McGlinchey at right tackle. Lastly, bold prediction number 10, before we get to your calls, Jauan Jennings becomes one of the go-to options on the offense and is even better than he was last year, which I actually think is really saying something because a year ago, Jauan Jennings was really good on 3rd and 4th downs. But I think this year, he's going to be more of a focal point in this offense. He's worked with Trey Lance, has that continuity and that camaraderie factor going. They have a good relationship on the offensive side of the football. And I think Jennings, who signed that free agency tender, doesn't have a lot of long-term security, ends up balling out with some pressure on him to secure the bag. He ends up getting paid in the future because he has a big year in 2022. Going to start taking your calls right now here on Callin. Make sure you subscribe to us on the Callin app as well as YouTube. And if you're watching us on YouTube, chatsports.com/49ersCallin. Download the app on your iPhone or your Android so that you can call into the shows. I'm looking at the caller queue right now. I see Treasure. I see Drew. We're going to start off with Drew. You're live on the 49ers Report. What is your bold prediction? And then we'll get to whatever else you have to say. Drew, make sure you unmute yourself. You're live on the show. He dropped off the caller queue, so now we go to Jay. Going to make you the next caller. Bold prediction, and then anything you have for me. Jay, can you unmute yourself? I know David's going to bring the heat. Going to make you the next caller here. David, what's up, my man? Thanks for tuning into the 49ers Report once again here on Callin.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Good to hear from you again.
Yep, you too, man. Just saying, just thinking about the whole team, really. Hopefully they'll be healthy for the whole season.
For sure.
And you know how they have Trey Lance on number 5 in the rankings of the second year. Let him shut everybody up. He could be the number 1 or number 2 at least.
Yeah. What's your big bold prediction for the 49ers this upcoming year, David?
Well, like the record or what?
No, just anything. Do you think that Trey Lance is going to be a star? Do you think the 49ers have a particular record? I'm just taking all of your predictions right now.
Oh yeah, I think Trey Lance will do good and be the future for the 49ers. Hopefully, long term. Maybe how does he want now? 21?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say where he ranks among all quarterbacks. I think that Trey Lance has the ability long-term to potentially be a top 10 guy. That's why the 49ers moved up to number 3 to take him. You don't draft him that high if he's going to be the 21st overall quarterback. So he has the potential to be a top 10 guy. Is he going to be that right away? I'm not sure. The jury is still out. LA, you're next up on the 49ers Report. I'm making you the next caller. Start off with one bold prediction that you have for San Francisco, and then I'll take whatever else you have. LA, make sure you unmute yourself, my guy.
Hey, Chase. How's it going? Can you hear me?
Going great. Even better now that I'm hearing from you.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I just want to say that I believe the 49ers can make the Super Bowl this year. I really do. We got a young team, and, everybody's not as young as they were a few years ago, and I think they have what it takes, and all we needed was a quarterback to take us over the hump.
I agree, and I think the offense is actually going to be a little bit more explosive. They're going to be a little bit more aggressive in the passing game in terms of trying to take the top off of the defense, pushing the ball downfield, especially off some of the play action from Trey. And because he offers opposing defenses a different threat as a runner and a thrower, I think defenses are going to be guessing more going up against Trey as compared to Garoppolo. Now, Garoppolo was great when it comes down to 2-minute drills at the end of games because of the experience factor, but I think Lance... Yep. A reason why I'm so excited about him is that tantalizing potential. So 49ers going to the Super Bowl. I hope it happens, man. That's a bold prediction. And if it happens, things are going to be popping on the 49ers Report. What else do you have?
Oh, yeah. And can I just say one thing? I just want to say that I drafted Deebo Samuel in fantasy last year. And midway through the season, I got Elijah Mitchell. And they took me to my first fantasy championship. So I'm hoping to get somebody within the 49ers, either running backs or wide receivers, to go for this repeat. Maybe
cool.
Trey Lance.
Very cool. So where did you get Deebo in the draft, and then at what week did you get Elijah Mitchell? Because I imagine really good value for both of those players.
I believe I drafted Deebo like 5th or 6th round. Nobody was looking at him. I was just a 49er fan, so I had to get him. And then after week 1, I think Mostert went down. Right away I was on the waiver wire to get Elijah Mitchell. So, so it ended up being super clutch. I traded for David Montgomery towards the end of the season for David Hopkins, and I was able to make it to the Super Bowl and win from that.
Very cool.
Deebo was a big reason why.
Okay, awesome stuff, man. Hey, with some of the trades that you made and some of the transactions you made throughout the year, maybe the makings of a future NFL general manager. A great call right there from LA. Give him a follow on Callin at Niner by Nature, and maybe we'll see him manning a front office. With that, I want to ask everybody this. Do you play fantasy football? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let me know in the comments section right now.